Get ready to dive into a galaxy not so far away and explore a piece of Star Wars history that's both hilarious and, well, a little silly. The Star Wars Holiday Special from way back in 1978 was a wild mashup of 70s variety show vibes and just enough Star Wars magic to keep fans hooked. But let's just say the reviews weren't exactly stellar. In fact, it aired once and disappeared faster than a ship jumping to hyperspace. The saga of this infamous special is far from over. A brand new documentary titled A Disturbance in the Force is gearing up to uncover the true legacy of this cult classic. And guess what? The trailer just dropped, giving us a sneak peek into this wacky adventure. Welcome to Star Wars Deconstructed, students of the Force and acolytes of the galaxy. Whether you're a Jedi, Sith, or somewhere in between, get ready for some serious laughs and insights as famous faces like Seth Green, Weird Al Yankovic, and Taran Killam take us on a journey through the quirkiest chapter in Star Wars lore. From Chewbacca's family antics to musical numbers that'll leave you scratching your head, this documentary promises to unveil the secrets behind the not-so-galactic hit. So buckle up, because this deep dive is about to take us on a ride through a disturbance in the Force that's both funny and, let's be honest, a little bonkers. Star Wars has a history of making some really crazy decisions, like remember Jar Jar Binks? Or that moment when a brother and sister kissed. Yeah, weird. But there's this one part of Star Wars history that might take the cake for being super odd. Those 3 years after the big Star Wars movie and before The Empire Strikes Back. That's when things got really bizarre. See, Star Wars became this huge deal. There was a gap between movies and Lucasfilm had to keep everyone interested. So they came up with this thing called the Star Wars Holiday Special. Picture this, the whole Star Wars gang getting together to celebrate something called Life Day with Chewbacca's family. Sounds cool, right? Well, turns out it's both super crazy and kind of boring at the same time. It's almost unbelievable that this special even happened. And George Lucas, he probably wishes he could zap it out of everyone's memories. But guess what? There's a new documentary called The Disturbance in the Force, How the Star Wars Holiday Special Happened, that digs in to the whole story behind this wild ride. Yeah, they're going deep to uncover how in the galaxy this special even came to exist. So what's in store in this behind-the-scenes look at the galaxy's most infamous holiday extravaganza? Well, the trailer might not show us the actual special, apparently the Emperor himself didn't want that leaked, but it teases us with a peek at Donnie and Mary Osmond doing their best Luke and Leia impressions on their own 70s style show. And let's just say the Force might have taken a day off during that performance. And the crew bringing this documentary to life? They're no scruffy-looking nerf herders either. Directed by Jeremy Kuhn and Steve Kozak, and produced by names like Adam F. Goldberg and Kyle Newman, these folks are set to give us an insider's view of how this quirky piece of Star Wars history came to be. According to the description of the film itself, in 1977, Star Wars became a cultural phenomenon that single-handedly revitalized a stagnant film industry and forever changed how films were sold, made, and marketed. Movies would never be the same again. A year later, neither would television. In 1978, CBS aired the 2-hour Star Wars Holiday Special during the week of Thanksgiving and was watched by 13 million people. It never re-aired. While some fans of the franchise are aware of this dark secret, this bizarre 2 hours of television still remains relatively unknown among the general public. Simply put, we will answer how and why the holiday special gets made. A Disturbance in the Force kicks off by showing how they hyped up this little sci-fi movie called Star Wars before it hit the screens. It ended up being a huge hit at the box office thanks to all that excitement they stirred up. That makes sense, right? When something's that popular, you want to keep the buzz going. So here's the weird part. Back then, they didn't have Star Wars toys ready for Christmas. Instead, kids got a poster with characters they'd get later by trading in a coupon. Talk about a strange way to handle things. And get this, they had a whole Star Wars bit on the Donnie and Marie show. Yep, Han Solo, played by Chris Christopherson, showed up too. But here's the twist. Donnie Osmond, of all people, had some interesting stuff to say. He thought having Star Wars on their show was super cool back then. Now? Well, let's just say he sees the silliness in it. It's like how George Lucas isn't a fan of the holiday special. Osmond felt the same way about his own show at first, but later he learned to accept the past, the good and the bad. He even talks about how messing up sometimes pushes you forward. Kuhn and Kozak lay out how the Star Wars holiday special came to be, painting a picture of this odd mixture of creative minds that birthed this, well, let's say, unique show. From the get-go, it seems like this special was more interested in being a mishmash of a variety show with a sprinkle of Star Wars rather than a legitimate episode 4.5. That's why you've got more Bea Arthur and Art Carney shenanigans than our main heroes, Luke and Leia, in this wacky special. Now A Disturbance in the Force takes us on a detailed tour through the holiday special, breaking down each part to explain what on earth was happening in every segment, uncovering the strange quirks and oddities that make each piece so, well, weird. Sometimes it might feel like they're just stating the obvious and having a laugh at how bonkers it all is, things fans probably already knew. But don't worry, the documentary doesn't dwell on those moments too long. It's a quick chuckle before zooming back into the bigger picture of the whole film. But the documentary isn't just about having a good laugh at the Star Wars holiday special. They'll be digging deep and figuring out how in the galaxy this crazy thing came to be. Sure, it's hard not to chuckle at the insanity of it all, but A Disturbance in the Force goes beyond the laughs. It gives us the backstory, explaining why these choices happened, and even highlight the bits that actually worked. Take the Boba Fett cartoon, for instance. It's still top-notch, and its quality has left a mark on the Star Wars world today. Remember what Donny Osmond said? Sometimes learning from mistakes sets us up for something better down the line. In the end, this documentary becomes a big old celebration of Star Wars, even in its weirdest, wildest forms. Those interviewed might admit the holiday special wasn't what they expected as kids. Heck, it's still a head-scratcher today. But it's a part of this massive series that they've come to love, flaws and all. They've embraced the quirks, seen the good and the not-so-great sides of it. The Star Wars holiday special might seem like it crash-landed from a distant galaxy of oddities, but when you take a closer look, its existence actually makes a lot of sense. Back when Star Wars first hit the screens, no one, absolutely no one, had a clue it would blast off into this mega universe-spanning phenomenon. Suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of that sweet Star Wars action. The stars were everywhere, popping up on all sorts of live shows and those variety specials, with their mix of comedy sketches and catchy tunes. Well, they were the in thing back then. Sure, we might poke fun at the holiday special, and let's be real, it's kind of easy to do, but in all reality, it left a lasting mark on the Star Wars galaxy. Remember Boba Fett, that badass bounty hunter we all love? Yeah, the holiday special introduced him to the world in an animated segment called The Faithful Wookiee. Oh, and Life Day? That's the Wookiee holiday the special cooked up, and it's become part of Star Wars lore ever since. It even made its way to the 2020 LEGO Star Wars Holiday Special. So as much as we chuckle at the holiday special's quirks, it turns out it left a bigger mark on the galaxy far, far away than we might have thought. And let's talk about Lucasfilm at the time. Trying to keep the Star Wars hype alive was a wild ride. They were pulling out all the stops to keep fans engaged, and looking back, it's like peeking into a time capsule of entertainment history that couldn't happen today. Lucasfilm 1.5 might be the most unbelievable roller coaster in Star Wars history, but in hindsight, it's also a super intriguing era for one of the biggest movie franchises ever. But hey, despite that, this documentary still packs a punch. It's a peek into accepting the flaws of the past, dive into the wild media scene of the 70s, and exploring a time when even the biggest franchise in the galaxy could get a little strange. And you know what's wild? Most of the weird stuff they did back then, fans ate it up. It's a reminder that sometimes, even when things get a bit wonky, the love for a series can endure. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and watch the next one.